Your 8-year-old just threw their backpack across the room because homework is too hard. Most parents would yell, bribe with screen time, or walk away. But the choice you make in the next 30 seconds? It's quietly programming how they'll handle failure at 30. How they'll respond when their boss criticizes them. Whether they'll have the courage to try again when life knocks them down. And the pattern shaping all of this? You're repeating it right now, in 100 tiny moments every single day. Psychologists have mapped 4 main ways parents interact with kids. But here's what nobody tells you. It's not the label that matters. It's the emotional pattern you repeat. And I'm going to show you exactly what that pattern is, why it shapes everything, and 5 fixes that work starting tonight. Let's start with the 4 styles, fast. As I describe them, see which one sounds most like you. No judgment, just notice. Authoritative. Think of this like an author. You are writing the story with your child. It means firm limits but warm connection. Your daughter gets a C on her report card. You say, "I know you're disappointed. Let's figure out what happened. Do you need help with the material, or is something else going on?" You're firm about grades mattering, but you're curious, not punishing. Authoritarian sounds similar, but think of this more like a dictator. Rules without relationship. Same C, but now you say, "This is unacceptable. No phone until you bring this up. You need to try harder." The rule is rigid. The emotion underneath? Dismissed. Permissive flips the script entirely. A C? That's okay, honey. School isn't for everyone. Want to get ice cream? All warmth, zero accountability. Uninvolved. This is a pattern of emotional absence. I don't mean checking your email once during dinner. I mean a total lack of guidance. No rules, no questions, just silence. Same report card, but you barely look up. The message isn't just, "I'm busy." It's, "You're on your own." The child learns they are on their own. In modern culture, we often talk about a 5th style, helicopter or overprotective. This is hovering, fixing every problem, never letting them struggle. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I know which one I am. So here's what nobody tells you about these styles. It's not the label that decides your child's future. It's the emotional pattern you repeat. Over and over, week after week, year after year. Let me show you what that means. Tuesday night. Your daughter fails a math test. You have a choice. Sit with her and ask, "What happened? What do you think went wrong?" Or, "You're just not trying hard enough." Or, grab the textbook and do the next assignment for her so she doesn't fail again. 3 responses. 3 completely different messages. I trust you to figure this out with support. You're not good enough. You can't handle this alone. And when you send the same message 50 times, 100 times, that message becomes the voice in her head. The one she'll hear at 25 when her boss gives her feedback. At 30 when she's considering a risk. At 40 when she faces a setback. Those Tuesday nights, they're not small. They're the architecture. So how does this actually rewire a brain? Picture this. Your 4-year-old is terrified of the dark, screaming, every night. You go to them, you sit on the bed. You say, "I know you're scared. You're safe. I'm here." You stay until their breathing slows. What just happened? Their brain learned, when I'm overwhelmed, I can calm down. Fear is manageable. I'm not alone. Now imagine the opposite. Same scared kid. But you say, there's nothing to be afraid of. Stop being a baby. Go to sleep. And you leave. Different lesson. My feelings are bad. I'm alone. I need to shut down. Psychologists call this co-regulation. Think of it like a battery jump start. You are lending them your calm nervous system until they can grow their own. And here's the neuroscience. Every time you respond the same way, dismissing or soothing or fixing, you're carving a pathway in their brain. Like walking through fresh snow. The first time, it's hard. The 10th time, there's a path. The 100th time, it's automatic. That's the pathway they'll follow at 25 when their boss criticizes them. At 30 when they fight with their partner. At 40 when they fail at something that matters. That's what we're about to change. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't destiny. It's probability. The data from decades of research, starting in the 1960s and continuing through hundreds of studies since, shows a consistent pattern. Kids raised with warmth and clear boundaries tend to be more confident, resilient, and socially competent. Kids raised with harsh control or no structure tend to struggle more with anxiety, self-esteem, and relationships. But it's shaped by culture, temperament, and individual circumstances. Some kids are more sensitive to parenting patterns than others. Some cultures value different traits. And one bad day, one harsh moment, that doesn't doom your child. What matters is the pattern, the trend line. the emotional climate you create over time. Now, let me show you what that looks like. Imagine two kids, Maya and Tom. Maya grows up in a home where limits are clear but kind. When she's 6 and refuses to clean up her toys, her mom says, "I know you don't want to, but we clean up before dinner. You can start with the blocks or the markers. You choose." When Maya fails her first spelling test at 8, her dad sits with her and says, "That's frustrating. Let's figure out what happened. What do you think would help next time?" When she's 12 and her friend group excludes her, her parents validate the pain, help her process it, then give her space to figure out her next move. Fast forward. Maya is 28. Tough conversation with her manager about a project that went wrong. She feels defensive, but she doesn't explode. She doesn't shut down. She says, "I see where I made a mistake. Here's what I'll do differently." She trusts herself. She asks for help when she needs it. She's resilient. Now Tom. Tom's parents love him fiercely, but rules are rigid and emotions get dismissed. 6 years old, meltdown, he's sent to his room. You need to learn control. 8 years old, failed test, lecture about effort and grades. 12 years old, excluded by friends. Toughen up, that's life. Fast forward. Tom is 28, same manager feedback as Maya, but Tom spirals. "I'm a failure, I always mess up." Or he deflects. "That's not fair, it wasn't my fault." He avoids risk because failure feels catastrophic. He doesn't ask for help because needing help feels like weakness. Same criticism. Two completely different responses. Maya adapted. Tom collapsed or exploded. The repeated pattern, how his emotions were met, carved different pathways. These aren't destinies, they're probabilities. And probabilities can change. And look, I know this is hard to hear, because if patterns matter this much, then maybe you're wondering if you've already messed up. Let me say this clearly, you haven't. Patterns can be rewritten, brains can be rewired. Starting right now. So how do you change the pattern? Here are 5 concrete techniques. Each one is small, each one rewrites the script. Fix 1. Label the emotion before you limit the behavior. Next time your child melts down, screaming, hitting, throwing, don't lecture, don't punish, don't ignore. Do this instead. You are so angry right now. I see it. You cannot hit. Let's take 3 big breaths together. Watch what happens. Their body starts to calm. Because you just did something powerful. You named the feeling. Science shows that simply labeling an emotion calms the amygdala, the brain's alarm center. When you name it, you tame it. You're teaching them. Your feelings are valid, your actions have limits, and I'll help you through this. Tonight, next tantrum. Say it out loud. You're frustrated. I see that. But we don't throw things. Let's figure this out together. That's it. 1 sentence. New pathway. Fix 2. The tidy boundary formula. Empathy, limit, choice. Replace "because I said so" with this 3-part structure. Empathy. I know you want more screen time, limit, but we have a rule. Homework first. Choice. You can do it now and have 20 minutes after, or skip it and have no screen time. You decide. Empathy lowers defiance. Limits create safety. Choice builds agency. This formula works for bedtime, chores, anything. Empathy, limit, choice. Write that down. Use it today. Fix 3. Scaffold failure. Let them struggle but stay close. Stop swooping in to fix everything. Think of scaffolding on a building. It supports the structure until it can stand on its own. Do that for your child. Let them try, fail, and try again while you stay close. Your 6-year-old is learning to tie shoes. Sit beside them. Show them once, guide their fingers, then step back. Let them fumble. Resist the urge to grab the laces. Say, "That's tricky. Try the loop again. You're figuring it out." That's the voice they'll carry into adulthood. Pick 1 small thing this week. Let them struggle a little. Watch what happens. Fix 4. The 2-minute connection ritual. You're busy, I know, but consistency beats duration. 2 minutes. Every single day, phones down, eye contact. Ask 1 real question. What made you laugh today? Or what was the hardest thing you did? That's it. 2 minutes. Tonight. Start the ritual. Fix 5. The scientist test. Observe for 7 days. For 1 week, become a scientist with your own family. Write down 1 repeated interaction you notice. Maybe it's how you respond when your child whines, or how you handle their mistakes. Just observe, no judgment. Then pick one of these 5 fixes and try it. Write down what changes. Data beats guilt. You'll see the pattern, you'll see the shift, and that makes it real. There's a free worksheet linked below to guide you through the week. Download it. Use it. Maybe you're thinking, I don't have time for this. I work nights. I'm barely keeping it together. Fair. These aren't add-ons. They're swaps. You're already responding to tantrums. Just change one phrase. You're already setting boundaries. Just add 2 sentences. You're already having bedtime. Just add 2 minutes of eye contact. Same time, different pattern. And if your culture values strict respect and hierarchy, that's okay. You can be strict and warm. The danger isn't high standards. The danger is being strict and cold. High standards with warmth isn't mean. It's leadership. You can demand respect while still acknowledging their feelings. I see you're upset and you must still listen. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Small shifts, repeated consistently, rewire brains. You've got this. These ideas aren't just theory. They come from decades of research. Diana Baumren's parenting studies, attachment science, neuroscience on co-regulation. And the pattern is remarkably consistent. When parents shift from fixing every problem to scaffolding instead, sitting beside the child, asking questions, letting them struggle, you'll see behavioral shifts within weeks, even if deep brain rewiring takes a bit longer. The willingness to try hard things starts to grow. One pattern shift. That's all it takes. Here's your next step. Download the free 2-page toolkit in the description. Page 1, a quick self-assessment so you know exactly where you stand. Page 2, the 5 fixes as a daily habit tracker. Pick one fix. Do it for 7 days. Track what changes. That's it. Download it now. Let's do this. Here's the truth. You're not stuck in one parenting label. Your child isn't doomed by one mistake you made. Patterns can be rewritten, brains can be rewired. Start tonight. And in a few weeks, you'll notice something. The voice in their head, the one they'll carry into adulthood, it's getting kinder. More resilient, more confident. Because you changed the pattern, download the toolkit, start today. See you soon.